Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about um, intention in movement, because I find that not a lot of Ganon players actually have very much intention, or at least a little more lower level players don't have a lot of intention behind their movement. They're kind of just gonna like, maybe they have just learned a waveland and they're like, oh wow, that's great, and they kind of like spam it a bunch. And they'll probably do a lot of like mindless approaches like this without really thinking about why they're doing their movement. And I kind of want to make a video talking about just some examples of like good movement, good mix-ups that you can create with your movement, and how you should be thinking about the movement that you do with Ganondorf. Okay, so let's talk about a way that you can apply movement to a very basic Ganon thing. Everybody knows, approaching with fair like that, but you can make this a lot better by doing this. Oh, sorry. By doing that. And the reason this is really good is this back jump that you're doing right here. It's the same back jump that, the same animation that people would start to see when you're, like, doing retreating forward airs or late up airs, stuff that to wall out and retreat in the corner. So people are completely expecting you to not come their way at all. In fact, they're expecting the opposite. They think you're retreating, and then suddenly you switch directions and you're flying at them really fast. Wow, I'm messing that up. But yeah, it's a super powerful option, and it really catches people off guard. Quick little addendum here, something I forgot to mention. I'm tacking this on in post, but this is another way that you can mix up the classic, approach with a waveland forward fair thing. When you waveland, if you let go of the stick, you'll end up sliding into a teeter animation here, upon which point you can shield pivot backwards, shield drop back air. And that is really good because a lot of the time people will go and they'll be, ready to punish like your forward air or something. Or, they'll try and maybe like, a lot of good foxes will try like skirt under it behind you or something. But instead, you can just back air them. And it's really, really, really powerful movement option. It's super weird, and it doesn't look like it's something that your character should be able to do, and it catches a ton of people off guard. Alright, here's another example of something that you can do. Something that I like to do in neutral a lot is a wave dash forward moonwalk back air at people. Now, this is good for a couple reasons, okay? The first and foremost one that you can obviously see is it allows me to approach pretty well with a back air. Which is not, like, I'm getting a ton of drift on this back air that you would not be able to get otherwise. But this also creates a bunch of mix-ups, because one of the things that you can do, or that is really important when you're doing movement, is you need to think of how can I switch this up once they've gotten used to this pattern to create things that would counteract what they're trying to do to counter me. So, for example, I can actually react to the situation, right? Like, if they're beginning to punish me for doing this, I can do like a sticky walk, and then I can do like a back air or something, and it will like really change the timing of that, right? And then if instead of that, I could get out of that situation entirely. I could jump away, I could wave dash away, I could go into another wave dash even, like that, which actually looks pretty nutty. But it's not about how nutty it looks, it's about how good it is, It's about the plethora of options that you can have out of that, and the fact that you can make your opponents think you're doing one thing when you're doing something completely different. Building off of the wave dash moonwalk stuff, we have a wave dash back moonwalk in neutral, which I think is something that is really powerful, because it's essentially just an extension of wave dash back. It gives you more distance on your wave dash back and allows you to counter something that might have overshot versus a normal wave dash back. You can also sticky walk out of this, and then you can dash attack out of the sticky walk if you want, which has some interesting timing mix-ups attached to it. And, of course, you can always just do other stuff out of it. The sticky walks are pretty intimidating in general, because they look weird, but you maintain pretty much full actionability out of them. You just can't do, like, tilts or whatever, but you can do a lot of stuff, and it can really trick your opponents up. Okay, so another thing is waveland loops. These create openings by essentially making a pattern of movement that your opponent will start to expect, so that you can then switch up and break the pattern really quickly in order to take them off guard. So if you're doing like this, if you're doing this, and then like you suddenly waveland out fair, that their brains are used to that pattern that they're already seeing, and then you break that and it trips them up. I usually open games with that. I'll spawn on side plat and I'll go. Well, there would have been a waveland off fair, but I'll do something like that generally, and it seems to get me the first neutral opening most of the time. Alright, so we're going to talk a bit more about back jump. Okay, because back jump is just the best thing ever for Ganon, okay? And it is because it lets him no impact land. No impact landing, of course, is really, really, really powerful. But one aspect of what you can do with a no impact land that people do not really explore much, in my experience, is how it can be used for timing mix-ups in your aerials. So a lot of people, they will, back air, and then like waveland on, back air, you'll see stuff like this. And this is really good, because this gives you like different timings on your back air. But another thing you can do is no impact lands drop through back air. And my god, is this effective, because talk about timing mix-ups, man. You have all the time in the world to stand here before you drop through. You can wait a completely arbitrary amount of frames before you do your back air. And, you can do it instantly, just for a tiny little stall. You can... I mean, really, the possibilities are literally endless when you do it like that. It's extremely powerful. This is really, really, really good for corner pressure, making it so that your enemy just has no idea when that back air is going to come and when it's going to be safe to attempt to no impact land or ledge dash or anything to try to get off the ledge. Another thing that makes it really powerful is whenever you waveland out of a back jump, it's about 5 frames faster on average. It depends for stages. I think the stage it saves the most frames on is on Dreamland, where it's around 7 frames faster. I think, yeah, that sounds right. But it's really good. And generally, anytime you waveland, you should be doing it out of a back jump, just because it's faster. And every frame matters when you're a slow character like Ganondorf. Okay, and my favorite of the bunch is the short hop, fast fall, perfect waveland, which is like that. It's honestly a very, very, very difficult technique to do, so you're going to see me miss it most of the time in this example video, because I have not practiced it much. But it allows you to turn most of your jumps into tomahawk scenarios, right? I can do that. I can just like if a falcon is over here where I'm stomping, and then I'm just like doing that and like wave landing into him with a grab just out of an empty hop. Now the falcon needs to be scared of me when I'm landing. Normally they would be able to like punish your landing or whatever, but now they're going to be scared of it, and that gives you a huge advantage in neutral. And once they start to get used to certain things, you can start like maybe moonwalking out of it, or just doing really anything you can think of out of a waveland. It's just the ability to suddenly fly forward or backwards on a landing, and to be able to have the power to do that anytime you land, that you're actionable, and every time there is a fuck. You get the point. I'll edit that. I'll edit this part out. Pretty much no matter what option you pick out of it, forward tilt's probably the best because it has the longest range. It's just a really, really, really powerful option, and it makes people scared of your landing.